In this video, we're diving into the absurdly dramatic and disturbingly revealing feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, a saga that I am calling World War Douche. So what began as a cringeworthy bromance between a reality TV president and a megalomaniacal tech billionaire has basically imploded into a public slugfest. These two guys with their ego, their power, we're just looking at crazy political fallout, and it's entertaining. You know, it's not good for the political movement, not good for the community, but it's entertaining nonetheless, and certainly the mainstream media is having a field day with it. But this isn't just celebrities slap fighting for clicks. That's not what these guys are doing. This meltdown actually exposes something that I find very interesting, and that's how easily public opinion can be manipulated by loyalty propaganda and by authority worship. And so I want you to stick around to the end of this show because I'm going to unpack the psychology of brainwashing. I'm going to show you how it works a little bit. We won't dive super deep, but we'll touch on how it's used by politicians and the media, the military-industrial complex, corporate America. All of these institutions use propaganda against you on a daily basis, whether you realize it or not. They try and control what you think, what you feel, what you believe. And if you are not constantly analyzing whether or not you're being targeted, odds are you probably are brainwashed in one way or another. So I want you to make note of some of these techniques. Now, take a second, if you will, right now, before we get started. Click the bell icon so you get notifications, because if you don't have that enabled, what I'm hearing from lots of you in the comments that have just happened upon my video, the videos this week, is you're saying that you didn't even know. You're subscribed to my channel, but you didn't even know, you didn't get notified that I had some new videos out this week. So please click the notification icon so you'll know when I've got stuff coming out, because I'm going to try and put out 2 or 3 videos every single week at least. And at the end of this video, if you found that you enjoyed it, but you want to review it, you'd like to read it, if you want a transcript of my report, what you need to do is go to patreon.com/BlackstoneIntel, because I'm putting out all of my new reports in Word document form there, so you can download it, read it at your leisure. You'll get these reports free if you're subscribed as a monthly donor. But even if you don't want to make donations, you can still go, and the reports are available for purchase on a one-by-one basis. And by the way, thanks to Denny and to Jana for becoming my latest patrons at patreon.com/BlackstoneIntel. So let's talk about World War Douche, the Trump-Musk meltdown. In a political soap opera that really feels more like a crossover episode of The Apprentice and Jersey Shore, Silicon Valley, I don't know. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have officially gone from being frenemies to full-blown enemies. This is a war of words, a war of egos that could further splinter the conservative movement, and that's why there's legitimate concerns from those of us who don't like to see this happening. It has the potential to tank the electric car market, and certainly has the potential to bring about an end to this techno-populist wet dream that has been built on dark MAGA tweets, frenetic taco tariffs, and ketamine-amplified testosterone. But it wasn't always like this. Remember, there was a time not so long ago that Donald and Elon were each other's biggest cheerleaders. They were scratching each other's backs. There was something to gain from this. Their relationship originally sprouted in the fertile soil of their shared interests. There was shared interest in deregulation. They both had disdain for traditional media. And they both, of course, have this insatiable need for the attention of the masses. They love a good buzz. So began this partnership. It raised eyebrows among some people, dropped a few jaws. You had Trump out there dubbing Musk as America's Edison, and Musk is going on Joe Rogan and different places talking about how refreshing it is that Donald Trump has a total disregard for BS and won't put up with it. So this culminates in Trump eventually making this new, vaguely Orwellian federal agency called the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. And he put Musk in charge of it. And so in classic Muskian fashion, Elon's out there joking that the acronym was no coincidence, because it's obviously a nod to his favorite meme currency. So how did these two get together? Well, it was money, of course. Skip back a few years to Trump's first run in 2016. His campaign ran on the bottomless checkbook of Zionist power couple Sheldon and Miriam Adelson. Miriam got the Presidential Medal of Freedom for all this. And also for their purchase of the U.S. presidency, Trump rewarded the Adelsons by moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv, where it had always been, to Jerusalem. And he became the first U.S. president to recognize Jerusalem as a whole, including the illegally occupied East Jerusalem, which belongs to the Palestinians, recognized it as the undivided capital of Israel, which is what the hardliners in Israel want. And it was that action by Trump back in, I think it was 2017, on behalf of the Zionist handlers, that kicked off years of escalating hostilities, emboldened the extremists in the far-right Zionist government of Israel, and it culminated into this bloodshed that we are watching unfold to this very day. So that's how we got started with that money. But fast forward to 2024, by this point, Elon Musk had already made his own pilgrimage to Jerusalem to go over there and kiss the ring of Benjamin Netanyahu, and they held these humiliating photo ops with Elon kind of deferring to Netanyahu. And Elon subsequently declared his obeisance to the Zionist state, like the good little boy that he is. And so around this time, with traditional donors pulling back, Sheldon Adelson is dead by now, and Miriam's reluctant. She didn't like how things went in the 2020 campaign. Didn't like that Trump wasn't doing quite enough for Israel as she wanted, so she's stepping back some. You have Musk stepping in, and he contributes over $250 million to the Trump campaign, which made him the largest individual donor, and Trump's new Adelson. He became the new Adelson. Sources close to the Trump campaign said that, kind of in exchange for this, Musk insisted on being looped into the strategic campaign conversations, the policy planning, because he's given him all this money. So in many ways, what happened between 2016 and 2024 is that Trump traded one billionaire Zionist kingmaker for another. The difference is, this one came with rocket ships, flamethrowers, and of course the most powerful propaganda spreading social media platform in the world. So flush with victory in 2024, the Musk-Trump tag team emerges as the kind of the official face of the new Trump administration. Elon attended the inauguration, rolling down the street there in a custom Tesla cyber limo, and later on took center stage during a White House lawn showcase of Tesla's military-grade Humvee prototype. And so the White House press room basically became a revolving door for Elon Musk's sound bites, constant sound bites from him or his representatives, with the Doge initiative being promoted as the administration's flagship policy. And it's not that in principle this is a bad thing. Conservatives and libertarians have been pushing to cut back the size of the government for years, myself included. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. But I guess my point here is that what Musk is getting out of this is, or at least what he's hoping to get, is a good financial return on investment. You know, the White House is being used as a showroom for Tesla vehicles over and over. So Elon becomes a regular fixture at cabinet meetings. He's at policy briefings, and he even did this. He was on this Fox segment entitled "Elon and Don: The Future of Freedom." So he's really positioning himself as this great guy, and that's when those of us who know Donald Trump knew this is about to end, because the cardinal sin that you can commit in Trump's sphere is you get more press coverage than he does. Good or bad, if you are outshining Trump, getting more media coverage, that's it. And that's what we saw in his first administration. Didn't matter who it was. John Bolton, his chiefs of staff, defense secretary. Anytime you've got somebody getting a lot of press, going on a lot of talk shows, and when Trump turns on Fox News and he sees them talking to these guys instead of talking to Trump, it's time to go. So, like every bromance, this one had its expiry date. The trouble for Trump and Musk really began when the Doge initiative a couple months back started delivering actual results. The results, of course, were total chaos because Elon went in and he's in there armed with spreadsheets. He's got his natural disdain for bureaucracy, and he cuts over 85,000 federal positions in just 95 days. Well, the backlash was immediate because essential services started faltering, government websites crashed. You had even out in Utah, National Park had to shut down for a couple of weeks. They did it accidentally, shut it down, but because of mass firings. So Trump, who is always image conscious, he's seeing this. He's seeing the flack that his reputation is taking, and he's starting to get a little upset about this. But tensions really reached a boiling point when Elon started clashing hard with Trump's Treasury Secretary. Trump, you have to remember, back in, was it 2004? I'd have to look up the exact year, but Trump was building a tower in Chicago. He was underwater. He was in big financial trouble, and he was going to go bankrupt again, basically. He needed to be bailed out. So Trump got George Soros, through a Soros investment arm, to invest in the Chicago Tower to the tune of $350 million. Soros bailed him out. This is not conspiracy theory. It's all over the place out there. This is very similar to what happened when Trump was facing bankruptcy over his New Jersey casinos back in the 80s. You may remember he was on the verge of bankruptcy again. He's had 6 bankruptcies. But in stepped Wilbur Ross. Who was Wilbur Ross? Wilbur Ross was the New York arm of the Rothschild banking syndicate. And Ross stepped in and pulled the strings and got the funding for Trump so that Trump didn't go bankrupt there in New Jersey, which, by the way, is where the Kushner family's from. So as a reward for the Rothschilds bailing out Trump, what Trump did was he made Wilbur Ross his Secretary of Commerce, in charge of writing massive policies for the U.S. government that was of great benefit to the Rothschild banking empire. Well, this time around, it was George Soros that had bailed out Donald Trump. And by the way, Trump never paid that money back. Soros gave it to him as a gift in the end. Trump, who knows what the motivation is? This is where I can only speculate. But the person that Trump chose this time was not a Rothschild lackey. It was a George Soros lackey. George Soros's protege was a guy named Scott Bessent. And that is who Donald Trump put in as our current Secretary of the Treasury. Okay, so Trump does reward the people that give him loads of money. I mean, that is one thing that he does pretty consistently, is he pays back the people that give him money. So the Rothschilds were put in charge of U.S. commerce in the first administration, and the Soros people are in charge of the Treasury Department this administration. But Elon did not like Scott Bessent, didn't like his ideas, didn't like anything, and the feeling was mutual. Bessent hated Musk. He sees Musk as a dangerous dilettante. So according to people in the White House, the two of these men eventually got into this profanity-laced shouting match in the West Wing after Musk accused Bessent basically of playing Monopoly with taxpayer money. And if the stories are true, security had to step in because it was about to get physical. Well, despite this chaos, Trump's keeping Musk there for a reason. That's because Elon was serving a valuable function. Basically, it was Elon and Tesla that was absorbing the incoming fire like a human lightning rod. Every unpopular policy decision, from the attempted elimination of the Department of Education to the privatization of FEMA, all of this had Musk's name attached to it. And so Trump was able to use Musk as a heat shield, deflecting criticism away from himself while maintaining plausible deniability. So you would see during these months in press briefings, whenever reporters were trying to grill Trump about these failed rollouts or the chaos or the public outrage, what would Trump do? He'd just say, talk to Elon. You know, this is an Elon thing. Don't look at me. This is him. Talk to him. And that worked for a while, with Musk as the whipping boy. But with each new controversy, Musk's approval ratings dipped. His once revered status among tech elites crumbled. And you've got so much negative publicity that even Tesla owners are out there defacing their own cars in protest. And the final straw came with Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill. Why anyone claiming to be a conservative Republican would proudly talk about a big, beautiful spending bill is insane. But that newspeak, that Orwellian newspeak, it works. It has kept a lot of the Trump base docile, not willing to criticize when traditionally they always did. Now that you've got Trump outdoing the worst Democrat spending, I mean, there is no Democrat that can, put a stick to what Trump is doing. His supporters, who are supposed to be conservatives, they're silent. But anyway, so this is Trump's centerpiece economic proposal in this second term. A huge reward to corporations and donors and all of this. It's basically a Frankenstein's monster of a combination of some tax cuts for corporations, massive infrastructure spending, and the kind of pork barrel goodies that Ron Paul built a career criticizing. All of this pork barrel stuff is designed to secure re-election in red states, red states and battleground states for the next election. So the projected cost of this is a staggering $3.8 trillion of deficit spending over the next 10 years. Now, no Republican should be for that. That's insane. Well, Elon, who has kind of styled himself as this fiscal conservative, at least when it's convenient, he went on X and called it a disgusting abomination of crony capitalism. And he accused Trump basically of selling out the future to buy some photo ops. Trump was taken aback. He was quiet for a day or two, but the media kept asking about it. So he responded as only Trump can. He said, well, Musk is just mad about losing the federal electric vehicle subsidy that was from the Biden era, that Trump's cutting that because, he's a champion of cutting costs, right? Despite the $4 trillion spending bill. And Trump basically said that Elon is just mad about that Elon used to be his friend, but he's actually a leech who has moved on to other things and is now being critical because the free government money that was helping Tesla is drying up, and so Musk is just mad. So now the gloves are off because Elon's got a big ego too, so he shoots back. He tweets out that the reason that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and FBI Director Kash Patel have failed to deliver on this much-hyped promise to make the Epstein sex crime files public is because Trump knows that he's in them. And so he has barred their release. True or not, the allegation from Elon Musk sent shockwaves through the media and the political class. And he has doubled down on it. He has called for the immediate release of the Epstein client list. He has called for Trump to be impeached. Now, the Trump camp, of course, has responded with blanket denial, but the damage has been done at least to an extent because you've now got the Democrats in Congress. They have leapt on what Elon said, and they're demanding calls for transparency. They are asking for Pam Bondi and Patel to confirm whether or not Trump is in these Epstein files. Now, of course, Bondi and Patel are going to deny it, regardless of whatever the facts really are, because they're loyalists. And really the only way that the public will ever know the truth about this, whether or not Trump's in the files, is if the files are released. And that only will happen under an order of Congress that will end up being denied by the executive branch, which will escalate all the way to the Supreme Court and a decision. And only at that point, just like we saw with the Watergate scandal, that's how that worked. That's how this would play out. Even then, you'd have to deal with whether or not stuff is redacted. And how do you establish a clear enough paper trail to ensure that nothing has been held back? Because remember, there was missing number of minutes from the Watergate tapes that were eventually released, and we'll never know what was everything that was on the tapes. So anyway, that's Musk trying to damage Trump, but Trump is retaliating, and the economic fallout has been swift. Tesla's stock dropped 14% in 48 hours, wiped out about $152 billion in shareholder revenue. Bam! Trump has announced that he's getting rid of his awful Tesla, a piece of junk, even though he just bought it like a month ago and was talking about how great it is. And Trump has basically marshaled his own supporters to help him tank Tesla. You got SpaceX now facing delays with federal contracts. So you've got this big civil war going on. MAGA influencers have turned on Musk with a vengeance. They're branding him a traitor, a deep state plant, and all of the things you would expect to be called if you turn on Trump. So this Trump-Musk divorce has triggered a full-blown identity crisis within MAGA. You've got influential voices like Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon, who have split over whether Elon's criticism constitutes treason on the one hand or just tough love. Bannon has said that Musk is trying to bring down the republic from inside, calling him an agent of China, while Carlson's out there praising Elon for his courageous stand against fiscal insanity. You look on Twitter and other online forums that were once united in fervent loyalty to these two guys. They're now battlegrounds. You've got some supporters, particularly the younger conservatives and libertarians, who are gravitating toward Elon and his anti-establishment rhetoric. Elon is basically saying the things that Trump used to say that got people to like Trump to begin with. Meanwhile, you've got the older generation, the diehard Trumpers, who are digging in deeper. They're vowing revenge against the tech Judas, while, as usual, completely ignoring any legitimate criticism of their political cult leader. So anyway, these shifting attitudes of MAGA supporters is where I want to take just a second, just a quick moment here to highlight kind of the psychology of this. I hear a bird. Speaking of tweeting, there's a bird out there tweeting. I hope that doesn't show up too bad on the video. So you've got the MAGA supporters that give us, they illustrate a classic example of in-group, out-group realignment. Okay, this is something that is authority-induced cognitive bias. Authority is Trump, inducing cognitive mental processing bias that is different, that is contrary to what common sense might tell you, or your normal processing, your logic center. Initially, many of the people in the MAGA base were skeptical of Elon. This is months before he got involved with Trump on the campaign trail. They're like, we don't know what to think about this guy. We do like that he let all of them back on to Twitter that had been banned by old Twitter. They liked that. They liked that, he's pro-Trump, but they were skeptical of him. They saw him basically as a West Coast technocrat who was aligned with a bunch of liberal elites. But once Donald Trump publicly started praising Musk, started bringing him out on the campaign trail and casting him as this brilliant innovator and a key ally and slashing government overreach, those same people who had doubts about him suddenly adopt very favorable views of him. That's the authority figure telling you what to think and you changing what you think and feel based on the words of that authority figure. This transformation is rooted in something called identification with a charismatic leader. This is a core tenet of authoritarian personality theory. It's also a core tenet of cultic psychological structures, because when the leader redefines friend versus foe for you, you often recalibrate your beliefs without conscious reflection. You don't even know this is happening. It's something called cognitive conformity. Now that Trump has turned on Musk, a lot of MAGA has reverted to having a feeling of hostility toward Elon again. He's a traitor. He's a deep state operative. Whereas a month ago, they were singing praises, right? So this pattern reflects thought reform, in which group members' perceptions are shaped less by facts, verifiable facts, and shaped more by emotional allegiance to the leader's evolving narrative. You know how Trump flip-flops more than any politician out there. He'll take, whether it's tariffs or anything else, you take one position one day, 2 days later, you're on the exact end of the spectrum. Okay? To stay with that, you have to cede over your brain to the leader, which is a mechanism central to the psychology of brainwashing. So if you find yourself flip-flopping, if you find yourself confused, ask yourself, have you let yourself be brainwashed by some of this? Because likely you have. Look, praise the man when he does good. When he does good, he deserves credit. And sometimes he does do good things. But a lot of times when he's pushing things like calling for the elimination of the debt ceiling, calling for threatening war with Iran, these kinds of things, you do not praise that. If you do, contrary to your own beliefs, you're brainwashed. So that's just a few thoughts on what I'm seeing with this whole Trump-Musk fan base realignment, how people are shifting back and forth. I find it very interesting. I really think it's a good opportunity for us to look at it, see what's happening, and maybe not let it happen again. Maybe go back to sticking to principles, believe in principles, adhere to principles, have loyalty to principles. And that way, if you do that, instead of being loyal to your heroes, if your hero goes and changes away from those principles that you believed in, he's not going to take you with him. You stay where you are. And if that politician or celebrity or whoever it may be moves away from where you started, let him go. Let him go. So, I guess in summary, this Trump-Musk meltdown is, to me, more than just a feud between two narcissists with God complexes. It's a cautionary tale about alliances. Alliances that are forged not on shared values, but on ego, on opportunism, on a mutual love for the spotlight. Obviously, with these guys, what began as a power play with each other, it has devolved into this public blood feud, each side hurling accusations, scrambling to maintain relevance, hoping they're not the ones that gets wiped out by this. And as the dust settles, there's really one question that remains. Who is going to be the next to get burned as collateral damage in the blast radius of this World War douche? I've got my fingers crossed that it's not going to be the American people. Well, that's all for today's Blackstone Intelligence Report. Again, if you want a copy of the transcript, go to patreon.com/BlackstoneIntel. I am going to be posting more and more patron-only content, pictures, videos, things like that. So get in there, get subscribed. I would love for you to subscribe for $5 a month. You can handle that. $5 a month will support me. Give me some fuel here in the tank so that I can really start churning out videos again the way that I used to. I would love to get back to this being full-time work again. And if you want to see that happen, show me, help me, support me. Show me that there's a demand for these reports. And for the rest of you, if you're not in a position to chip in a little bit, you can still talk to me. Leave me a comment down in the comment section. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what kind of topics you'd like for me to cover in future shows, okay? Well, that's it for this report. Until next time, I'm Professor Jake Blackstone.
Hi, I'm Derek Wyatt, founding partner of the law firm of Wyatt Underwood. And if you're not watching the Blackstone Intelligence Network, you're just letting the truth pass poof right before your eyes.